The windshield wipers flicked back and forth. Thorne took the curve fast, despite the driving rain. He glanced at his watch. 2 minutes gone, perhaps 3, perhaps more. He wasn't sure. The road was a muddy track, slippery and dangerous. He splashed through deep puddles, holding his breath each time. The car had been waterproofed back in the shop, but you were never sure about these things. Each puddle was another test. So far, so good. 3 minutes gone. At least 3. The road curved, opened out, and in a flash of lightning he saw a deep puddle ahead. "4 minutes. He sat in the car, hearing the rain pounding on the metal roof. Rain poured in sheets down the windshield. He sat back in his seat, signed, and stared at the road ahead. The radio crackled on the seat beside him. "Doc? Are you almost there?" Thorne stared at the road, trying to guess where he was. He estimated that he must be still more than a mile from the trailer in the clearing, maybe more. Too far to try it on foot. He swore and pounded the seat. "No, Eddie. I shorted." "You what?" "Eddie, the car's dead. Thorne broke off. He noticed something. From around the curve ahead, he saw a faint flashing red glow. Thorne squinted, tried to be sure. Yes, his eyes were not playing tricks on him. It was there, all right. A flashing red glow. "Doc? You there?" Thorne didn't answer. He grabbed the radio and the Lindstradt rifle, jumped out of the car, and ducked his head against the rain. Began to run up the hill towards the junction of the ridge road. Coming around a curve, he saw the red Jeep, standing in the middle of the ridge road. His tail lights flashing. One of the lights was broken, glaring white. He ran forward, trying to see inside. In a flash of lightning, he could see there was no driver. The driver's door was not even closed. The side was deeply bended. Thorne climbed inside, reached down with his hands for the steering wheel. Yes, the keys were there. He shoved the Jeep in gear, backed it around, and headed up the ridge towards the clearing. It was only another few curves before he saw the green roof of the laboratory and turned left, his headlights swinging across the grassy clearing and shine onto the dinosaurs pushing the trailer. Thorne threw the Jeep into reverse and was backing away frequently before he realized the animals were not coming towards him. Instead, they were running diagonally across the clearing, towards the tree near Thorne. Beneath the tree they paused, their heads turned upward. Thorne dozed his lights and waited. Now he saw the animals only intimately in the flashing lightning. In one crackling burst, he saw them take down the baby from the trees. Then he saw them nuzzling the baby. Obviously, his sudden arrival had made them anxious about the infant. The next lightning flashed. The tyrannosaurs were gone. The clearing was empty. Were they really gone? Or were they just hiding? He rolled down the window, stuck his head out in the rain. That was when he heard an odd, low, continuous squealing sound. It sounded like the extended cry of an animal, but it was too steady, too continuous. As he listened, he realized it was something else. It was metal. Thorne turned on his lights again and drove forward slowly. The tyrannosaurs were gone. In the pale beam of the headlamps, he saw the second trailer. With a continuous metallic squeal, it was still sliding slowly across the wet grass, towards the edge of the cliff.
What is he doing now?
"He's driving," Levine said, looking through goggles. From the height, they could see Thorne's headlamps across the clearing. "He's driving to the trailer. And he's
what? What is he doing now?
He's driving around and around a tree," Levine said. "A big tree by the clearing." "Why?" "He must be running the cable around the tree," Eddie said. "That's the only possible reason." "What's he doing now?" Arby said. He's getting out of the Jeep. Now he's running towards the trailer. Thorne crawled out beneath the trailer and squinted at it in the rain. He looked carefully at the wheels of the Jeep to see if they were moving at all. No. With the cable wrapped around the tree, the counterbalancing weight of the Jeep was enough to hold the second trailer on the rim of the cliff. He went back to the Jeep, climbed inside, and set the brakes. Doc? Doc! I'm here, Eddie. You managed to stop it? Yeah. It's not moving anymore. That's great. Well, listen, Doc, you know that connector is just file mill mesh over the steel and rod. It was never intended to... I know, Eddie. I'm working on it. The interior was inking black. He could see nothing at all. Everything was overturned, his feet crunching on grass. All the windows were shattered. He held the radio in his hand. Eddie! Yes, Doc. I need rope. He knew that Eddie had all sorts of supplies squared away. Doc. Just tell me. It's in the other trailer, Doc. Great. There might be some nylon lines in the utility locker, but I don't know how much. He didn't sound hopeful. Thorne pushed his way down the trailer, came to the wall cabinets. They were jammed shut. He tugged at them in the darkness, then turned away. The utility locker was just beyond. Maybe there would be rope there. And right now, he needed rope. Sarah Harding, still hanging by her arms from the top of the trailer, staring up at the twisted accordion connector leading to the second trailer. The pounding from the dinosaurs had stopped, and the trailer was no longer moving. But now she felt water dripping cold into her face, and she knew what that meant. The accordion connector was beginning to leak. She looked up and saw a tear had begun to open in a fresh fabric, revealing the twisted coils of steel that formed the connector. The tear was small now, but it would rapidly widen. And as the mesh broke, the steel would begin to uncoil, to lengthen, and finally snap. They had only minutes before the hanging trailer broke free and fell to the ground below. She climbed back down to Malcolm, bracing herself to stand beside him.
Ian.
I know, he says, shaking his head.
Ian, we have to get out of here.
She grabbed him under his armpits and pulled him upright.
And you're coming with me.
He shook his head, defeated. She had seen that gesture before in her life. That futile shake, giving up. She hated to see it. Harding never gave up. Not ever. Ugh. I can't.
You have to.
Sarah.
I don't want to hear it, Ian. There's nothing to talk about now. Let's go.
She was pulling him, and he groaned. But he straightened his body. She pulled hard and got him up off the table. Lightning flashed, and he seems to find some energy. He managed to stand on the edge of the seat, facing the table. But he was unsteady, but standing. What do we do?
I don't know, but we're going to get out of here. Is there any rope?
He nodded weakly.
Where?
He pointed straight down, towards the nose of the trailer, now hanging in space. Down there, under the dash.
Come on.
She leaned out into space and spread her legs so that she was braced against the floor opposite her. She was standing like a rock climber in a chimney, 20 feet below to the dashboard.
Okay, Ian, let's go.
I can't do it, Sarah. Seriously.
Then lead on me. I'll carry you.
But...
Now, damn it!
Malcolm hoisted himself up, grasped the wall fitting, his arms trembling. He was dragging his right leg. Then she felt his weight on her, sudden and heavy, almost knocking her free. His arms locked around her neck, choking her. She gasped, reaching back with both arms, grabbed his thighs, and lifted him while she adjusted his arms better around her neck. Finally, she could breathe. Sorry.
It's okay. Here we go.
She started to make her way down the vertical passageway, grabbing at whatever she could. In places, there were handholds, and when there was no handholds, she clutched a drawer handle, table legs, window latches, even the carpeting on the floor, her fingers tearing the clothes. At one point, the carpet came away in the big split, and she slipped before her legs tightened wider. She halted her downward slide. Hanging behind her, Malcolm winced. His arms around her neck was trembling. You're very strong.
But still feminine.
She was only 10 feet from the dashboard, then 5. She found a wall grip, hung, dangling her legs. Her feet touched the steering wheel. She lowered herself down, easing Malcolm onto the dashboard. He lay back, gasping. Half-inch nylon, easily 50 feet of it. She got up, staring down through the windshield at the bottom of the valley, hundreds of feet below. Directly to her side, she saw the driver's door to the trailer. She leaned out, looked up to the side of the trailer. She saw a move metal paneling with no hand grips, but underneath of the trailer, there must be axles and boxes and other things to stand on. Gripping the wet metal of the door jamb, she bent over, trying to look at the underside of the trailer. Finally! For Christ's sake, Thorne said. What are you waiting for? An engraved invitation? Let's go!
It's Ian. He's hurt.
Typical, Kelly thought, looking at Arby in the hide. When things got tough, he just couldn't handle it. Too much emotion, too much tension, and he got all trembling and weird. Arby had long since turned away from the cliff, and now he was looking out the other side of the shelter, towards the river, almost as if nothing was going on. Typical. Kelly turned back to Levine.
What's happening now?
Thorne just went in, Levine said, peering through the goggles.
He went in? You mean in the trailer?
Yes. And now, somebody's coming out.
Who?
I think Sarah. She's getting everyone out. Kelly strained in the night, trying to see. The rain had almost stopped. There was only a light drizzle now. Across the valley, the trailer still swung free in space. She thought she could make out a figure, clinging to the undercarriage, but she couldn't be sure.
What's she doing?
Climbing.
Alone?
Yes, Levine said. Alone. Sarah Harding came out through the door, twisting her body in the rain. She did not look down. She knew the valley was 500 feet below her. She could feel the trailer swinging. She had the rope swung around her shoulder. She edged around, lowered her leg, and stood on the gearbox. She felt with her hand, gripped the cable, swung around. Thorne was inside the trailer talking to her. We'll never get Malcolm up without a rope. Can you climb it? Sarah, can you do it?
Yes. Where is she? What's happening? Is she alright?
Levine watched through the glasses. She's climbing, he said. Arby listened to their voices distantly. He was turned away, staring off at the river in the darkened plain. He waited impatiently for the next lightning flash, waiting to see if it was true, what he had seen earlier. She did not know how, but slipping and sliding, she somehow got to the top of the cliff and flung herself over the side. There was no time to waste. She uncoiled the rope and crawled beneath the second trailer. She looped the rope through the metal bracket, quickly notched it, and then she went back to the edge of the cliff and thrown the rope down.
Doc!
Standing at the trailer door, Thorne caught the rope and tied it around Malcolm. Oh, let's go, Thorne said. He put his arms around Malcolm and swung them both out until they were standing at the gearbox. Christ, Malcolm said, looking upward. But Sarah was already pulling him, the rope tightening. Just use your arms, Thorne said. Malcolm started to rise. In a few moments, he was 10 feet above Thorne, Sarah was up on the cliff, but Thorne couldn't see her. Ian's body blocked his view. Thorne began to climb, his legs struggling for purchase. The underside of the trailer was slippery. He thought, I should have made it non-skid. But who will ever make the undercarriage of vehicle non-skid? In his mind's eyes, he saw the accordion connector, slowly tearing, opening wider. He climbed upward, hand over hand, foot by foot. Lightning flashed, and he realized that they were close to the top. Sarah was standing at the edge of the cliff, reaching down for Malcolm. Malcolm was pulling himself up with his arms. His legs swung limp free, but he was still going. Another few feet. Sarah grabbed Malcolm by the shirt collar and hauled him up the rest of the way. Malcolm flopped over out of sight. Thorne continued up. His feet slipped. His arms ached. He climbed. Sarah was reaching down to him.
Come on, Doc.
Thorne climbed faster, looking up towards Sarah. Her hands still reached down.
You can do it, Doc.
He climbed, closing his eyes, just climbing, holding the rope, gripping it tightly. His arms ached. His shoulders ached. The rope seemed to become smaller in his hands. He twisted around his fist, trying to hold on.
Sorry about that.
The pain was intense, but he didn't care. He hardly noticed, because now he was alongside the accordion connector, watching the coils pop like a bursting corset, and the trailer dropped lower, but she still pulled him, and she was immensely strong. And then his fingers touched wet grass, and he was over the side. Safe. Thorne turned and looked up at Sarah. Thanks, he said. Sarah sat heavily on the ground beside him, drop dripping from her bandaged head. She opened her fingers and released a handful of his gray hair, which fell in the wet clump under the grass.
Hell of a night.
They made it!
All of them.
Yes, they made it! Kelly began to jump and cheer. Arby turned and grabbed the glasses out of Levine's hand. Hey, Levine said. Just a minute. I need them, Arby said. He spun back around and looked at the dark plane. For a moment, he couldn't see anything. Just a green blur. His fingers found the focus knob. He twisted quickly, and the image came into view. What the hell's so important? Levine said irritably. That's an expensive piece of equipment. In pale shades of luminous green, Arby saw the raptors clearly. There were 12 of them, moving in a loose cluster through the grass, heading in the direction of the hide. One animal was a few yards ahead and seems to be the leader, but it was hard to discern any organization in the pack. The raptors were all snarling and licking the blood off their snouts, wiping their faces with their clawed forearms, a gesture oddly intelligent, almost human. In the night vision glasses, their eyes glowed bright green. They did not seem to have noticed the hide. They never looked up towards it, but they were certainly heading in that direction. Abruptly, the glasses were yanked out of Arby's hands. Excuse me, Levine said. I think I'd better handle this. You wouldn't even know about it if it wasn't for me. Be quiet, Levine said. He brought the glasses to his eyes, focused them, and sighted at what he saw. 12 animals, about 20 yards away. Can they see us? No, and we're downwind of them, so they won't smell us. My guess is they're following the game trail that runs past the hide. If we're quiet, they'll go right past us. They all stared out at the plane. The night was now calm and still. The rain had stopped, and the moon was breaking through thinning clouds. Faintly, they saw the approaching animals, dark against the silver grass. Can they get up here? I don't see how. We're almost 20 feet above the ground. I think we'll be fine. But you said they can climb trees. Shh! This isn't a tree. Now everybody down and quiet. Malcolm winced in pain as Thorne stretched him out on a table in the second trailer. I don't seem to have much luck on these expeditions, do I?
No, you don't. Just take it easy, Ian.
Thorne held a flashlight while she cut away Malcolm's trouser. He had a deep gash on his right leg, and he had lost a lot of blood.
We have a medical kit?
I think there's one outside, where we store the bike.
Get it.
How bad is it?
It could be worse. You'll survive.
In fact, the wound cut deep, almost to the bone. Somehow it had missed the artery. That was lucky. But the gash was filthy. She saw grease, and bits of leaves mashed it into the ragged red muscle. She had have to clean it out, but she had to wait for the morphine to take effect first. Sarah, I owe you my life.
Never mind, Ian.
No, I do.
Ian, this sincerity is not like you.
It'll pass. She knew he must be in pain. Thorne returned with the medical kit, and she filled a syringe, tapped out the bottles, and injected it into Malcolm's shoulder. Ow. How much did you give me?
A lot.
Why?
Because I have to clean the wound out, Ian, and you're not going to like it when I do.
It's always something, isn't it? Go on, Sarah. Do your damnedest. Levine watched the approaching raptors through the night glasses. They move in a loose group, with a characteristic hopping gait. He watched, hoping to see some organization in the pack, some structure, some sign of a dominant hierarchy. Velociraptors were intelligent, and it made sense they would organize themselves hierarchically, and this would appear in their spatial configuration. But he could see nothing. They were like a band of marauders, shapeless, hissing and snapping at one another. Near Levine and the hide, Eddie and the kids were crouched down. Eddie had his arms around the kids, comforting them. The boy especially was panicking. The girl seems to be okay. She was calmer. Levine didn't understand why anyone was afraid. They were perfectly secure high up here. He watched the approaching pack with academic detachment, trying to discern a pattern in their rapid movements. There was no doubt they were following the game trail. Their path exactly matches the Paris earlier in the morning, up from the river, then over the slight rise, and along the back of the hide. The raptors paid no attention to the hide itself. They seemed mostly to interact with each other. The animals came around the side of the structure, and were about to continue on, when the nearest animal paused. It fell behind the rest of the pack, sniffed the air. Then it bent over, and began to poke its snout through the grass around the bottom of the hide. What was it doing? Levine wondered. The solitary raptor growled. It continued to root in the grass. And then it came up with something in its hand. Something held in its clawed fingers. Levine squinted, trying to see it. It was a piece of a wrapping paper from a candy bar. You feel okay? Thorne said. Better all the time, Malcolm said. You know, there's a reason why people like morphine. Sarah Harding adjusted the inflatable plastic splint around Malcolm's leg.
How long until the helicopter comes?
Thorne glanced at his watch. Less than 5 hours. Dawn tomorrow.
For sure?
Yes, absolutely. Harding nodded.
Okay, he'll be okay.
I'm fine, Malcolm said in a dreamy voice. I'm just sad that the experiment is over. And it was such a good experiment, too. So elegant. So unique. Darwin never knew.
I'm going to clean these out now. Hold his leg for me. What didn't Darwin know, Ian?
That life is a complex system, and everything that goes along with that. Fitness landscapes, adaptive walks, Boolean nets, self-organizing behavior. Poor man. Ouch! What are you doing there?
Just tell us. Darwin had no idea.
That life is so unbelievably complex, Malcolm said. Nobody realized it. I mean, a single fertilized egg has 100,000 genes, which act in a coordinated way, switching on and off at specific times to transform that singular cell into a complete living creature. That one cell starts to divide, but the subsequent cells are different. They specialize. Some are nerve, some are gut, some are limb. Each set of cells begins to follow its own program, developing, interacting. Eventually, there are 250 different kinds of cells, all developing together at exactly the right time. Just when the organism needs a circularity system, the heart starts pumping. Just when hormones are needed, the adrenal starts to make them, week after week. This unimaginably complex development process perfectly. It's incredible. No human activity comes close. I mean, you ever build a house? A house is simple in comparison. But even so, workmen build the stairs wrong. They put the sink in backward. The tillman doesn't show up when he's supposed to. All kinds of things go wrong. And yet the fly that lands on the workman's lunch is perfect. Ow! Take it easy.
Sorry.
But the point, Malcolm said, is that this intricate developmental process in the cell is something we can barely describe, let alone understand. Do you realize the limits of our understanding? Mathematically, we can describe two things interacting, like two planets in space. Three things interacting, 3 planets in space. Well, that becomes a problem. 4 or 5 things interacting. We can't really do it. And inside the cell, there's 100,000 things interacting. You have to throw up your hands. It's so complex. How is it even possible that life ever happens at all? Some people think the answer is that living forms organize themselves. Life creates its own order, the way crystallization creates order. Some people think life crystallized into being, and that's how the complexity is managed. Because if you didn't know any physical chemistry, you could look at a crystal and ask all the same questions. You would see those beautiful spars, those perfect geometric facets. And you could ask, what's controlling this process? How does a crystal end up so perfectly formed? And looking so much like another crystal? But it turns out a crystal is just the way molecular forces arrange themselves in solid form. No one controls it. It happens on its own. To ask a lot of questions about a crystal means you don't understand the fundamental nature of the processes that lead to its creation. So many living forms are kind of crystallization. Maybe life just happens. And maybe, like crystals, there's a characteristic order to living things that is generated by their interacting elements. Okay. Well, one of the things that crystals teach us is that order can arise very fast. One minute you have a liquid with all the molecules moving randomly. The next minute, a crystal forms, and all the molecules are locked in order, right?
Right.
Okay. Now, think of the interaction of life forms on the planet to make an ecosystem. That's even more complex than a single animal. All the arrangements are very complicated. Like the yucca plant. You know about that?
Tell me.
The yucca plant depends on a particular moth which gathers pollen into a ball and carries the ball to a different plant. Not a different flower on the same plant, where it rubs the ball on the plant, fertilizing it. Only then does the moth lay its eggs. The yucca plant can't survive without the moth. The moth can't survive without the plant. Complex interactions like that make you think maybe behavior is a kind of a crystallization too.
You're speaking metaphorically?
I'm talking about all the order in the natural world, Malcolm said, and how perhaps it can emerge fast through crystallization. Because complex animals can evolve their behavior rapidly. Changes can occur very quickly. Human beings are transforming the planet and nobody knows whether there is a dangerous development or not. So these behavioral processes can happen faster than we usually think evolution occurs. In 10,000 years, human beings have gone from hunting to farming to cities to cyberspace. Behavior is screaming forward, and it might be non-adaptive. Nobody knows. Although personally, I think cyberspace needs to end of our species.
Yes, why is that?
Because it means the end of innovation, Malcolm said. This idea that the whole world is wired together is mass death. Every biologist knows that small groups in isolation evolves faster. You put 1,000 birds on an ocean island and they'll evolve very fast. You put 10,000s on a big continent and their evolution slows down. Now, for our own species, evolution occurs mostly through our behavior. We innovate new behavior to adapt, and everybody on Earth knows that innovation only occurs in small groups. You put 3 people on a committee, and they may get something done. 10 people, and it gets harder. 30 people, and nothing happens. 30 million, it becomes impossible. That's the effect of mass media. It keeps everything from happening. Mass media swamps diversity. It makes every place the same. Bangkok or Tokyo or London, there's a McDonald's on one corner, and Benetton on the other, a Gap across the street. Regional differences vanish. All differences vanish. In a mass media world, there's less of everything except the top 10 books, records, movies, ideas. People worry about losing species diversity in the rainforest. But what about intellectual diversity? Our most necessary resource. That's disappearing faster than trees. But we haven't figured that out. So now we're planning to put 5 billion people together in cyberspace. And it'll freeze the entire species. Everything will stop dead in its tracks. Everyone will think the same thing at the same time. Global uniformity. Oh, that hurts. Are you done?
Almost. Hang on.
And believe me, it'll be fast. If you map a complex system in a fitness landscape, you find the behavior can move so fast that fitness can drop precipitously. It doesn't require asteroids or disease or anything else. It's just behavior that suddenly emerges and turns out to be fatal to the creature that do it. My idea was that dinosaurs, being complex creatures, might have undergone some of these behavioral changes, and that led to their extinction.
What, all of them?
It just takes a few. Some dinosaurs rose in the swamps around the inland sea, changes the water circulation, and destroys the plant's ecology that 20 other species depend on. Bang! They're gone. That causes still more dislocations. A predator dies off, and its prey grow unchecked. The ecosystem becomes unbalanced. More things go wrong, more species die, and suddenly it's over. It could have happened that way.
Just behavior.
Yes, Malcolm said. Anyway, that was the idea. And I had this nice thought that we might prove it. But now it's finished. We have to get out of here. You better tell the others. Eddie, it's Doc. Eddie? The first of the raptors hissed as it began jumping up, clattering against the high, shaking the structure. Its claws crackled against the metal, and it fell down again. Eddie was astonished at how high it jumped. The animal could leap 8 feet straight up, again and again, without apparent effort. Its jumps attracted the other animals, which slowly came back to circle the hive. Soon the hive was surrounded by leaping, snarling raptors. It swung back and forth as the animals slammed against it, clawed for purchase, and fell back again. But more ominously, Levine saw they were learning. Already, some of them had begun to use their clawed forearms to grip the structure, holding on while their legs got footing. One of the raptors came within a few feet to their little shelter before finally falling back. The fall never seemed to hurt the animals. They immediately leapt up, and jumped again. Eddie and the kids scrambled to their feet. Get back! Don't look out! Eddie pulled one of the aluminum bars from the floor, leading over the side railing, brandishing the bar like a club. Surprised, Eddie shouted and jerked his head back. The raptor narrowly missed him, but his jaws closed on his shirt. Then the raptor fell back, jaws clenching tight, and its weight pulled Eddie forward over the railing. Help me! Help! Quick! Up on the roof! Quick! Kelly started climbing one of the struts, then pushed herself easily up onto the roof. Arby stood there, his expression blank.
Come on, Arb.
The boy was frozen, his eyes wide with fear. Levine ran to help him, lifted him up. No! Levine was terrified. He was still holding Arby in his arms, pushing him up to the roof. Go on, he kept saying. Go on! Go on!
You can do it, Arb.
The boy gripped the roof, pulling himself up, his legs turning in panic. Oh, Christ, Levine said. Oh, Christ! Kelly was lying flat on the angled roof of the shed, looking down over the side. She saw Arby hit the ground on the other side of the structure from Eddie. He seemed to hit hard, but she didn't know what happened to him because she had to turn away to grip the wet roof. And when she looked back down again, Arby was gone. Thorne was underneath the trailer, unhooking the cable. He released it, crawled out, and sprinted for the Jeep. He got behind the wheel, turned on the engine, and waited impatiently while the cable winched in. The hook slid across the grass. It seems to take forever. Now the cable was snacking around the tree. He waited. He looked over and saw the light from Sarah's bike moving up through the foliage, heading down towards the high. At last, the winch motor stopped. Thorne threw the car in gear and roared away from the clearing. Ian, don't worry about me. I'm just fine. Sarah Harding drove fast on the muddy jungle road. She wasn't sure where she was, but she thought by following the terrain downward, she would eventually come out onto the plain. At least that was her hope. Levine stood in the center of the hide, frozen with terror. The raptors were no longer jumping, no longer trying to climb the structure. The boy had never made a sound. Cold sweat broke all over his body. Back! Get back! Up on the roof, Kelly twisted around, trying to see down on the other side. In the dying light of the flare, she saw that Arby was inside the cage. He managed to close the door and was reaching his hand back through the bars to turn the key in the lock. Get back! She heard a faint sound and looked up to see two headlights in the distance. It was a car. Someone was coming. Arby wasn't held. Inside the cage, he was surrounded by black snarling shapes. The raptors couldn't get their jaws through the spaces between the bars, but their hot saliva dripped down on him, and they kicked their claws came through, slashing his arms and shoulders as he rolled. His body was bruised. His head hurt from banging against the bars. His world was swelling, terrifying pandemonium. He knew only one thing with certainty. The raptors were rolling him away from the hide. As the car came closer, Levine went to the railing and looked down. In the light of the red flare, he saw three raptors dragging what remained of Eddie's body towards the jungle. They paused frequently to fight over it, snapping at each other, but they still managed to haul it away. Then he saw the other group of raptors were kicking and pushing the cage. They rolled it down the game trail and into the forest. Now he could hear the rumble of the Jeep engine as the car came closer. He saw Thorne still hooded behind the wheel. He hoped he had a gun. Levine wanted to kill every one of these damn animals. He wanted to kill them all. Up on the roof, Kelly watched the raptors kicking the cage, rolling it away. One raptor remained behind, turning around and around in circles like a frustrated dog. Then she saw it was the raptor that had caught its jaw into the elastic loop, the key still dangling along his cheek, glittering in the red flare. The raptor jerked his head up and down, trying to get it free. The Jeep came roaring forward, and the raptor seemed confused by the sudden bright light. Thorne threw open the door as Levine jumped into the car. "They got the kid," Levine said, pointing along the trail.
Wait!
"Get back up there! Sarah's coming! We'll get Arby!
But
We can't lose them!" In the trailer, Ian Malcolm listened to the voices shouting over the radio. He heard the panic, the confusion. Black noise, he thought. Everything going to hell at once. 100,000 things interacting. He signed and closed his eyes. Thorne drove fast. The jungle was dense around them. The trail ahead began to narrow, the big palms edging closer, slapping the car. "Can we make it?" "It's wide enough. I walked it earlier today. Harris used this trail." "How could this happen? The cage was attached to the scaffolding." "I don't know," Levine said. "It broke off. How? How?" "I didn't see. A lot happened." "And Eddie?" Thorne said grimly. "It was so fast." The Jeep clunked through the jungle, bouncing hard as it followed the game trail. They banged their heads on the cluck roof. Thorne drove recklessly. Up ahead, the raptors were moving fast. He could hardly see the last of the animals, grinning into darkness up ahead.
they wouldn't listen to me.
About what?
The raptor took the key. Arby's locked in the cage and the raptor took the key.
Where?
There.
In the moonlight, they could see the dark shape of the fleeing raptor.
We need the key.
Get on! Can you shoot?
No. I mean, I never...
Can you drive a bike?
No,
Then you have to shoot. Now look. Trigger's here, okay? Safety's here. Twist it like this, okay? It'll be a rough ride, so don't release it until we get close.
Close to what?
But Sarah didn't hear her. She gunned the engine, and the bike accelerated, heading out into the plains, chasing the fleeing raptor. Kelly put one arm around Sarah and tried to hold on. The Jeep bounced along the jungle trail, splashing through muddy pools. "I don't remember this rough," Levine said, clutching the arm hold. "Maybe you should slow down." "Hell no! If we lose sight of him, it's over. We don't know where the raptor nest is. And in this jungle at night... Ah, hell!" Up ahead, the raptors were leaving the trail, running off into the underbush. The cage was gone. Thorne could not see the terrain very well, but it looked like a sheer hill, going almost straight down. "You can't do it," Levine said. "It's too steep." "I have to do it," Thorne said. "Don't be crazy," Levine said. "Face facts. We have lost the kid, Doc. It's too bad, but we have lost him." Thorne glanced at Levine. "He didn't give up on you, and we're not giving up on him." "Shit! You'll kill us all!"